Hello everybody, it's Miss Grenade again. This time we're going to be doing dividing fractions. When dividing fractions, you do not have to find a common denominator, just like multiplying. I know you'll be thrilled to hear there's a saying for dividing fractions, just like for multiplying fractions. I'm going to say it and then you have to say it with me. Dividing fractions, easy as pie. Just flip the second and multiply. Now you say it with me, you have to. Here we go. Dividing fractions, easy as pie. Just flip the second and multiply. One vocabulary word you must know for division of fractions is the word for a fraction when you flip it upside down. Anyone know it? It starts with an R. At any point, try to fill in the rest of the blanks if you think you know the word. R, E, C, anybody know it yet? I, P, R, come on, you can do it. O, anybody? C, A, L, reciprocal. Everybody say it, reciprocal. That's just the big math word for a fraction that you turn upside down. Another way of to think about dividing fractions is a saying we used when subtracting integers. And I know you'll be able to fill this in before I finish. Keep it. What's the rest of it? You know it. Change it. What's the last part? Of course, change it. Okay. So we're going to keep the first fraction as it is. Keep it. Then we're going to change the division sign to a times sign. I'm going to write the word times instead of putting an X there or a dot. And then we change the second fraction to its, what's that word that starts with an R? Reciprocal. Uh-oh, why does it do that to me? Reciprocal. Reciprocal. That's when you flip it. Okay, now it's just a multiplication problem. Just like we did yesterday. That's why we've been trying to get you to learn how to cross-simplify for multiplication, because we're going to do it exactly like we did yesterday after we've done the KCC. Okay, let's practice. 4/7 divided by 14/15. So we keep the first fraction, 4/7. We change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Oops, it went away. Uh-oh, that's supposed to be, oh! Sorry. That's not a minus sign, that's a times sign. And we change the second fraction to its reciprocal. I'm going to go back and try to make a dot out of this. Anyway, okay, now we're going to cross simplify. Is there anything that goes into both the 7 and the 15? No, so we're not going to do anything to those. What about the 4 and the 14? What goes into both of those? They're both even numbers, so they'll both divide by 2. So we're going to mark out the 4, and we're going to say 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then we're going to mark out the 14, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. So that leaves us 2 times 15 is 30. And 7 times 7 is 49. Now, I know we've already told you this when we were multiplying, but a good thing to remember is that if you've done all of the cross simplifying that's possible, then you can be absolutely sure that your answer is in simplest terms. Now, it's always a good idea to check to see if your answer is simplified, because if you happen to miss something in the cross simplifying, then your answer is not going to be lowest term. So you have to always double check to make sure. Now you get to practice. I'm going to wait for 1 minute while you get as much done as you can. Now I'm going to give you a hint first. Your quotient, because that's the answer to a division problem, can't be an improper fraction. So simplify it back to a mixed number. Okay, 1 minute, go. Okay, time's up. Do you have an answer? Okay, first thing we have to do, dividing fractions, easy as pie. Just flip the second and multiply. So we're going to rewrite it first. We're going to keep it, and then we're going to change to a times sign, and then we're going to change to the reciprocal of the second fraction. Okay, cross simplifying. Is there anything that goes into both 20 and 25? That's right, 5 goes into both of those. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 5 goes into 25 5 times. Okay, what about 6 and 9? Is there anything we can simplify there? Yep, that's right. 3 goes into both of them. 3 goes into 6 2 times, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So that leaves us with top times top is 15, and bottom times bottom, 4 times 2 is 8. Now remember the hint I gave you, your quotient can't be an improper fraction, so you have to simplify it back to a mixed number. This is a division problem. How many, remember a fraction bar is just a division bar. How many 8s are in 15? 1. And how many will be left over? 7. And the denominator stays the same. If you need to write it as a division problem, and if you want to copy this down, you can do this too. 8 goes into 15 1 time. That is your whole number. Then 1 times 8 is 8, and you subtract, and your remainder is your numerator. Oh, look what I did. I made a mistake. Can y'all believe that? Well, I can. So I'm just going to mark it out. That's why you're supposed to use pencil instead of pen, and put an 8 there. So 1 and 7/8, the denominator stays the same. If you have any questions, jot them down so you can put them in the class survey at the end of the lesson. Please put those in. That helps us see what we need to help you with tomorrow before we do the lesson. Okay, I'm going to see if I can do this one correctly without making a mistake like I did on that last one. Okay, now for mixed numbers. There's one extra step to do before you can multiply. So first you have to change the mixed number or numbers to an improper fraction. The second step, after you've done that first step, is just back to regular multiplying by, dividing by fractions. K, C, C. Keep it, change it, change it. Third step, cross simplify and multiply, And if your answer is improper, change it back to a mixed number. Now I've got the whole problem done here. Well, that's weird. It's the same answer as that other one, and I didn't even mean for that to happen. So 2 1/4 divided by 1 1/5 is the problem. And then equals, this step we're changing both to an improper fraction. And I don't have room to write the whole thing, so I'm going to put improper fractions. The next step after we've done that is keep the first fraction, change division to times, and change the second fraction to its reciprocal. Step 3, cross simplify. 3 goes into 6 2 times, 3 goes into 9 3 times. So we've got 3 times 5 is times 5 is 15. And 4 times 2 is 8. So that's our quotient. One of these days I'll get used to this thing. And then 1 7/8 is our simplified answer, simplified quotient. So let me go back over this one more time because you're going to get to practice one. So here's the problem. We're going to change both of these to improper fractions. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. Here it is over here. And the denominator stays the same. 1 times 5 is 5 plus 1 is 6. And the denominator stays the same. Then we keep it, 9 fourths, change it, times, change it, 5/6. We cross simplify, multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and then change it back to a mixed number. Now you get to try one alone. This time I'm going to wait for 2 minutes because there are several steps. If you get stuck, don't give up. Just look back at your 3 steps and at the example we just did together. Do as much as you can in 2 minutes. Go. Okay, time's up. Okay, we're going to change to an improper fraction. Remember the Texas method? Texas check. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16, and the denominator stays the same. And we're still dividing because we're not doing keep it, change it yet. So put your Texas there, TX, and then 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12, and our denominator stays the same. Next step. Keep it, 16/5, change it to a times sign, change it to its reciprocal. How many of you got that far correctly? Okay, is there anything that goes into both 5 and 5? Well, sure there is, and it's 5. 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into 5 once. What about 16 and 12? Did I hear somebody say 2? Okay, 2 goes into 12 6 times, and 2 goes into 16 8 times. Now, I did a 2 on purpose because I wanted to show you something. We can still divide both of these by 2, so you can do that again. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now, if you used, how many of you used 4 the first time when I said what goes into both 12 and 16? Because if you did that, then 4 goes into 12 3 times, 4 goes into 16 4 times. So you got there in 1 step instead of 2 steps like I showed you. Now we've got to multiply. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. And that is an improper fraction, so we have to divide it. I'm going to see if I can get the denominator right this time. 3 goes into 4 one time. There will be 1 left over, and the denominator stays the same. So your final answer is 1 1/3. Did you get it right? Now you know everything there is to know about dividing fractions, just like you do multiplying fractions. Are you as happy as you were when you learned to multiply? I hope so. Okay, fill out the class survey and do the problems. They are part of your grade, so be careful, and then hit submit.